Sentinel, sound a clap like a German logo.
Easy. One voice I done voice I don't represent for Sentinel. Sound.
This is Kabaka Pyramid, and right now you're tuning to the biggest and baddest podcast in the thing named Make We Talk by Sentinel Sound.
Greetings to each and everyone out there, and welcome to the third special edition of Make We Talk, the Dancehall podcast by Sentinel. My name is Algi. I'm one of the regular hosts of this podcast. Eric, the other one, cannot be here today. However, I won't be doing this show alone. With great pleasure, let me welcome a co-host and the main interviewer for this very special episode, Father Uli, our veteran on Sentinel. Uli, how are you?
Hi, Algi. Thank you very much for the invitation one more time to the show. I'm pretty good. Very busy in working for my music company, but apart from that, constantly working on my record collection at the moment, putting things up on Discogs. So I'll make the best out of the time at home office, etc., etc. I try to make the best out of it. All good so far.
And that's also what we are doing today. And once again, I'm very happy to have you here. And if you're ready, I'd say let's call our guest right away.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Here we are again, special edition number 3 of Make We Talk. And right now I have the great honor to introduce to you our guest for today's show. He's the owner of one of the greatest sounds ever to come out of Jamaica, which of course means one of the greatest sound systems ever to exist. From his home base, Alexandria, in the parish of St. Anne, Jamaica, the man built a brand that is globally recognized and loved, the bass Odyssey sound system. Let me welcome the man behind the legendary outfit, Mr. Keith Walford. Father Keith, how are you in these crazy times?
Well, I'm giving thanks. It's really challenging times. And let me first say hello, good afternoon, or good morning to all your listeners out there. And for sure, it's a pleasure to be on here. Anything to do with promoting reggae music, we're always would like to be a part of it. But certainly, very challenging times, Yuli.
All good. Great to have you on the show, Father Keith. Fantastic.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
To be honest, I'm very excited about this interview. Therefore, I would say, Uli, it's your turn.
Yeah, Father Keith. As I said, great to have you on the show. And I would start from my perspective, which is a fan perspective in the first place. I have I would say, around 200 Bass Odyssey audio cassette in my collection from 92 till, 2018, which only digital. And so I've been listening to it for quite a while. I think 94 was my first audio that I got with Bass Odyssey name on in my collection. And what I find especially interesting is on all these cassettes, everybody speaks of Father Keith, or many people say Father Wally or just Wally, with a whole lot of respect. And those people are giving you respect. People like Trooper, Matterhorn, Panther, everybody on these audios from the 90s and the 2000 years speaks of Father Wally with a lot of respect. And I think that is a big accomplishment and something pretty serious in this rough world of dancehall music.
Yeah, well, as a good old saying goes, when you show respect, you get it back in return. And I have always respected every player in the industry. Whether I think you are bad for the industry or good for the industry, I show you the respect because you are in the industry, so you're contributing something to the development of the industry. And, we all have our own ways, our own way of going about things. And I've encountered so many different characters in this dancehall world, so many different people, some of them that are on edge and it takes nothing for them to go off the edge, and some of them that are really patient and flexible. But it's all about, you know, giving back the respect that you get and showing respect in order to gain respect. And certainly the love for everyone who is involved in reggae music, whether you're a fan or a participant or owner, it's there. I give my dues.
So, and I mean, as you said, you are coming from Alexandria, Santan, the bush, as Squingy used to say in many many times. Very close to the holy grounds of reggae music, 9 Mile, where Bob Marley was born, which is like about underneath an hour, as far as I know, from your place. And in the beginning, is this something that you had originally planned to conquer the world with Bass Odyssey? Was that on your agenda?
Well, when you it is my belief that whatever you do, you must do it to the best of your ability. So maybe when I started in 1989, the projection or the hope was always that I would be able to reach to the top or the highest heights in reggae music. So certainly, yes, that would have been the objective. Getting there, I'm very proud. I'm very happy. And back to what you said in the earlier part about we associating ourselves with the bush. You see, the reality of it is that the community of Alexandria is what you would call in Jamaica deep rural, right? It is, of course, we are close by to 9 miles where Bob Marley was buried and just said he was born. But we believe that there's a lot of talent, a lot of musical talent that comes out of Saint Anne, and certainly it is there to be seen. But Squinty wanted to be different because most people they highlight the townships, their Kingston. When we used to be playing with all of these sounds from Kingston, even those who are not from Kingston, they associate themselves with the Pandy Tamar, Tivoli, or they wanted to be seen as people out of Kingston. So we never followed. We wanted to be different, and we wanted to highlight and project where it is that we are really from. So so hence out of the bush and the country sound because it is no makeup or no put on. That's where we are really from, and that's where we are still originated in Alexandria. And of course, when you come here, you would always see around you that man, people down here, it's really rural
Yeah.
Jamaica, right? So we are proud of it, and we take it worldwide, and it has bore fruits, and we are happy with it.
Yeah, and I mean it is really a big difference. I've been there for the first time in the late 90s in like Brownstown, Cave Valley, and that kind of things, and I attended dances there, and it is really different to the dance in town when the sound from the people coming there, enjoying their weekends there or whatever. It's not posh, it's not show off. It's really, as you said, rural, basic people having a good time, enjoying the sound and enjoying what you're doing. So I pretty much understand that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is what it is. In the country parts, we don't have a lot of nightclubs and the different choices that you have in Kingston and the more built up areas. So people look forward to a good dance and they look forward to a good sound system coming in to provide the entertainment. So we had to step up to the plate because once you are, the higher you climb, the more you're exposed. As they say in good old life, that the higher the monkey climb, the more him exposed, right? So once you start going up that ladder, then you'll find other sound systems want to challenge you as to, why you're going up past them or why they aren't above you. And so you have to defend your turf. And that is just what we have been doing. We have been able to defend our own and of course, make the committee of Alexandria proud as well and put it on the map as a town that people never heard of. So it's all about the music and the different stages that you have to go through in order to get to the levels in the music that you want to go to.
I mean, in your case, I mean, you are running it now for 30 plus years, and what I really appreciate is that you are keeping somehow to the original formula, which means you have your boxes, you have your amplifiers, you have your trucks branded with Bass Odyssey, you have your crew, you have everything is there. It's a really serious effort. It's not just a selector with a USB sticks or a couple of CDs. It's more of that. And I mean, I think you schooled more than 20 or even more people throughout the years as selectors, people holding the mic, working for you on that sound. So I mean, the only one of of those kind of remaining dinosaurs from the golden era would be Stone Love, from my point of view, who has a similar approach these days with that kind of or that much of effort that you put in the place to keep Bass Odyssey as it is.
Yeah, man. We have been and we will always try to stick as close to the original makeup as possible. If you can remember in the early days, people, even when other sound systems had five, six different racks of amplifiers, we were labeled as the one rack sound because we tried to keep it small. And to this day, we have not we have not moved, we have not deviated from that concept. And those days when amplifiers were big and heavy, we have no past that because sound systems nowadays can play off one rack easier. In those days, you had to have the space for the different equipments that you wanted. But now with technology, you have some very powerful amplifiers that are just about an inch, maybe a couple inches thick. Those days, those amplifiers were very big. But we kept to the one rack even when it was big. And as I said, we always try to keep as close to the original concept of sound systems as possible. And just to say, maybe if it wasn't for the big advantages with using a laptop, we would still be playing vinyl, would still be playing our dub plates on steel because we have so many of them on steel. But the inconvenience of traveling with all those heavy boxes and you know um, overweight on the aircrafts and all of that. So when you really measure the advantages of the laptop or just traveling with a laptop alone, it so much outweighs the dub plates. And of course the quality and thing is something to speak of as well. But the laptop of course has its disadvantages over the dub plates as well, because nowadays, like a selector, it's easy to just download the songs. Before with the vinyl and the original steel dub plates, that wasn't possible.
Yes.
So sticking to the original concept, we do it as much as we can, but in the same breath, we won't give away something that is so much more convenient and just to be sticking to it. We won't. We have to go with the flow. That's how it is.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of your role now, in looking back at those 30 years, I think it's also quite special because you have not just be the owner, of course, handling, financing, but you have been cutting doublets as a lot, as far as I know, and you have also been selector doing in the early years. I think until the mid 90s, your face could be seen behind the decks at Biltmore Ballroom and others. Yeah, so that's also a special approach towards the whole thing, to more than just ownership.
Yeah, you see, one of the things as an owner that I think I have on my side is that I was always a part of it. It wasn't something like you you got up one night and you just got this idea to build a sound and you don't know anything about sound systems. I have been a part of the building process from the very first speaker box or the very first speaker that I bought. Because, in the earlier days when I started, I used to lift the boxes myself with the guys. And then I used to turn around, go and get a shower and play the sound system myself. And, so all of those things would help with how you manage the sound and, because you know exactly what you're into in comparison to if I was just a businessman sitting there would employ people to do it. So the love for the music, it grows very deep. The love for sound systems, it goes very deep because, as I said, I've always been so integrally involved with the whole process of it. When it comes to dub plates, I used to go to the studios myself. I'm the one who used to go in there and cut all of these early dub plates. And to this day, I still do it, but only with the artists that I'm more familiar with, like the artists from back in the day, maybe the Bujos, the Bunty, the Beanie from way back when. The new artists who I'm not so familiar with, then my younger selectors would now take over from there. But as I said, just being a part of the entire process, it helps, to deliver how you deliver at the end of the day.
I think that's a good point to make a first look back in the past. Again, saying coming from the bush, heading to Kingston like in '93 or something to find Bounty Killer and record a huge amount of dubplates and seriously push this artist to a level. How was that back in the day? Like you traveling those 4 hours by car to Kingston and find the artist and carrying to Arrows and nail him down to do all the hit records that he had at the time?
Yeah, that back in the day, that was even more of a challenge than today.
Okay.
A very serious challenge because, as you said, in those days it would take you 3-4 hours to get to Kingston. Now with the toll roads that are open, the east west and the north south toll roads, it's like little over an hour. So it's so much easier now, right? But so you had to have that love for it to be doing this journey, 3-4 hour journey one way all the time, and then when you get to Arrows or you get to Jammies or the studios that you're gonna be working at, sometimes you leave there in the wee hours of the morning, 2-3 o'clock, because those days, just go in and like now into a studio and a man run the rhythm and everything is just all technology. Those days, guys had to balance the thing out by arrows. You had to balance and make certain everything was good because you're cutting straight to plate. You're not you're not recording and then you make a mistake and you take it. Those times you're going straight to plate. So you make a mistake, that plate is not good anymore. So it was very time consuming. What when we started first, like the Bounty Killers and some of those artists who were so professional at it, they would just cut straight to plate. But then you would have some of the artists who would, you put it on what you would call a DAT at the time, a DAT machine, or you would put it on a cassette in the earlier days. And then the man in the studio would record on a 16 track. And if a mistake is made, he would go and retake it. And then when the entire song is complete, he would record it, give it to you. Then you take it down by Arrows, and Arrows would sit there. Father Bill, as we used to call him, the engineer, and he would have to balance everything, make certain that all the levels are good. And he plays the entire song out, balance all the levels, and then he goes to the machine and puts it to play it. So it was very time consuming. You had to have a love for it in comparison to today's world, what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Arrows many times, so I'm quite familiar with it. So we had what we have mentioned now. We had the one rack is one of the attributes. We had the country sound, but the third one is the new tune sound. Yeah, or something that is mentioned many times. Bass Odyssey is the new tune sound. So looking back at the Bunticular things that we just talked about, I mean, back in 93, 94, he had like 25, 30 hit tunes at the time. And it was seriously your approach to say, Hey, Killer, I want the catalog on dub. Was that the approach back then to say that Odyssey really stands for all those stuff to hammer it out?
Well, the approach in cutting songs was always and is always going to be very creative. It has to be creative. You would know a song, yes, that is out there in the space and creating waves, and you would say, yes, we have to cut that song on dub plate. So you would sit and rearrange as much as you possibly can before you approach the artist, right? But in those earlier days too, one has to remember that even in the case of Killer and a lot of the other artists, is that the some of the songs that were given to you was like a trial run, right? So an artist would have a new song and he wanted to see how well it does in the dance hall, and he would give you that new song or two new songs, and you go to the dance hall and play it, and you would see that's what kind of response that song generates. So a lot of artists, Buju Band and all of those guys, that was a part of their strategy as well. And of course, we had to capitalize on it. Um, I can remember one of Beanie Man's biggest hits when I was cutting him down up by Jaro's studio. But at that time Jaro was on Malines Road, I think. And I had finished for the day and was leaving, and Beanie Man said, keep me have a new song, have a new song. And me say, why DJ me done for the day, me go in, him say, keep me have a new song, why you get it? 'Cause I never put it out yet, apparently I just finished writing it. And can't say no to him. So we went back in the studio and he gave me that song free of cost, and it turned out to be one of his biggest hit songs. Because when we came down and played it, it immediately started to tear up the dance hall, right? And there have been many a times like that when artists experiment with you, and you have to be able to say, okay, I'll do it. And then, of course, the other side of the coin is that some sound systems wait until the songs become a hit and then they record it. But we have never been like that. We have always been one to experiment with songs, and new songs, as you said, was always what we prided ourselves with, because there are so many sounds out there that stick to the older songs that we wanted to be somewhere of a wide repertoire, that we had a very huge catalog. And my selectors also demanded that.
Ah, yeah. And I mean, you are dealing with these guys like almost 20 years, if we speak about 93, all of that. How has the relationship, how is this developed with people like Beanie Man, Buju, or Killer? Let's stick with Killer, because you in the beginning you 4x4 Exodus and Super D, you seriously pushed Bounty Killer. Made that was the beginning of the legacy of him being a sound system played DJ. How has this developed from '93 to 2021?
Um, the relationship with all of those older artists and myself, it has been good, has always been good, where we show respect to each other. And I should hope that it will continue to be good until the day the Father calls us all. But I I I think that it has always been, musical wise, it has been very, very good. I can remember the days of course, when I just started with Buju Banton. Buju Banton had this quite a different appearance to now. He had a part in his hair, he was what you call a soul boy at that time. We used to go by the record shop in Halfway Tree called Aquarius. We used to go around by Germain Studios with Bounty Killer in the early days. I used to go by Jammies and sit by the gate by Jammies and wait on Killer. And but the thing too with these DJs is that in their earlier days, every one of them DJ'd on the sound live. Killer DJ'd on the system live. I can remember Bujo DJ'd out by Salem in Runaway Bay live. Beanie Man was, I remember one particular night in 9 Mile where Beanie Man DJ'd and the people break down bush and everything. Him just couldn't stop DJing the amount of forwards he was getting. So these artists have been amongst us in reality. They have been on the sound system DJing live, so they know where we're coming from. And so the bond or the friendship has grown through that because they have quite a bit of times been on the sound system live DJing.
It's interesting because that somehow leads back to what we said in the beginning, the kind of respect which is shown to you by other sound owners, by other selectors, etc., and that comes out here also. And I think another aspect that comes to my mind, because me personally, we have played in quite a few clashes with you guys, with Squidgy, with Mark, with Worm, a lot of times. And wherever we played with you or had those clashes with you, the people in the audience showed the same kind of respect to Bass Odyssey, because they always, I felt that they said, this sound is representing us. This sound is representing country. So there's another gesture of respect coming from the audience in London, in New York, in Italy, wherever. Bass Odyssey was always, for me, well received. And the people, 500 people standing, Stratford Rex, I remember it, going crazy for Bass Odyssey in UK Cup Clash 2006.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. We love that. Being in the business, you always want the objective is firstly to please your audience, not just the Bass Odyssey fans, but everyone who turned out to listen to you play. You have to, as you know, in every dance you will have the fans, and then you will have a few haters, and you will also have people who are just there to hear what kind of music you play. But our objectives are always to try and please the everyone that came out to listen to that music, everyone that came out in that particular night. And one thing I've always told my selectors is that never you try to show off on the people. The people are the ones who make us, and the people are the ones who will break us. So never you try to show off on anyone. And don't ever think that you're going to be able to win every clash that you go into. It's just not possible. You're going to lose some. And when you lose, you must be a sportsman. You know, like some of these clashes that we see in the coming up now, because in the later days it hardly happened, but coming up now, some of these clashes that you see at the end of the night, people want to fight and they want to show, all sort of things happening. And yes, we have been involved in one or two skirmishes as well, but we have managed to mend those broken fences. And the whole outlook of everything is that when you lose, accept it with grace. The important thing is if you play 100 clashes, try not to lose more than maybe 10 out of 100 or 5 out of 100. You must always be in the majority winning. But even if you're not winning, accept the decision gracefully without, disrespect or anything like that.
Yeah, but I think you have still been very competitive all the way through. Always being competitive with Bodyguard, always being competitive with Blackhead, of course, them being somehow neighbors from a next parish. But you've been never afraid to go after those Catarocs and Turbophonics and that kind of sounds, Jar Creation, that came up and demanded something, and you showed them how it works. And I think I personally I really like that competitive attitude to go out there and represent for the sound in those clashes, no matter if it's like the 90s or 2000s.
Yeah. Um, if in music, just as anything else, you're gonna have to be, you cannot make it by backing away from your opponent. You're gonna have to face your opponent, and it has always been our idea that we will not back away, especially in the earlier days coming up. We will not back away from anything. I remember the first time we clashed at his Squingy and myself alone went to Biltmore Ballroom in Brooklyn, which was considered the the arena, the Clash Arena in New York, and it was King Addy's homegrown home turf, and it was Quincy and myself. We alone we went there and we took them on. As far as Cataract, that again, we never, Cataract used to have such a big catalog. We never backed away from anybody. Kilimanjaro, you name it, we've been there with them. Super D, Black Cat, Steely and Cleavy Sound,
Silok.
every one of them in those earlier days. Um, we had to go out there, bodyguard, as you said, we had to go out there and prove that we were just as good or better than them, and that is what we did, and we never shun away from that. And if and when we lose, we would always be looking the rematch to come back and turn the tables the next time around. But good thing, we I think we have a very high percentage of wins in comparison to the few losses that we had. And even when we lost, we it would be very close. Maybe I can say one of the closest clashes that maybe, or maybe, the social zone clashes are kind of unpredictable. Is we clashed. Was it World Clash in New York when we clashed that zone from Canada, and
Rebel Tone.
we led the dance the entire time. We were winning every round, every song, everything. And in the one for one, we just lost out, and that was it. But these are some of the things of sound clashes, and it's a game that we're in, so we have to just adapt to it.
Yes, I would like to speak about just a couple of those key events to give the people who are now listening or hearing the podcast to get them an idea of the actual vibes back then. I mean, the '94 one with Addis, you and Squingy ventured into Biltmore Ballroom as a bit of the underdogs in a competition with Babyface and Matterhorn, like iconic persons in the Soundclash scene at that time, and then you unloaded a ton of Bounty Killer dubs on them, and seriously defeated Addis in that '94 Biltmore thing. How did you expect that, and what happened afterwards? Was it like a now you are a worldwide known name?
Well, we went there to win. We went there to win. It was, I know we went there as underdogs, and a lot of people weren't giving us much chance of winning. But and in those days too, Mataran wasn't even using the mic. It was Babyface. Mataran was like standing behind Face, right? And some people believe that King Addies, at the time were playing more Bounty Killer than us. But that is the time when Addies went to cut Bounty Killers because we unloaded so much on him the night he couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it was after that he really took on to cutting Bounty Killers as well, because those days the killer songs in clashes were like, they were very, very effective. Not saying that our artists weren't as effective, but the killers stood out. And after that night, of course, he went and reloaded his repertoire with his killers. And, it was just a part of the business that, in my opinion, that we had to go through in clashing them there. And after that clash with them in Biltmore, we had the Soul Supreme. We had nearly every LP. We had nearly every New York sound we clashed with in Biltmore Ballroom shortly after that. And we never backed away from anything. We took them all on in there. And if my memory serves me right, I think would have won maybe 90-95% of those clashes.
Yeah, I mean, you left a huge impression. I think you are not many Jamaican sounds can declare themselves as a Biltmore sound, but Bass Odyssey definitely shaped or had their share in building that Biltmore legacy. And I mean, it also, I think, ended up in you building a serious fan base in USA. on the back of your presence there, and what you just said by playing the Soul Supreme LP through almost everybody you played with. I mean, and poor Addis. I mean, first you unloaded Killer on them, and shortly after 4x4 unloaded Killer on them. It's a lot of pressure on these guys. Speaking about Kilimanjaro, there is this is a bit special, Bass Odyssey and Kilimanjaro, because you didn't play that many times. There was a violence involved and some kind of heavy, maybe even bad vibes at times with Trooper. Is that something that you took as a sportsmanship, or did some things got out of hand and went too far back at that time?
We used to play quite a lot with Jaro. We used to play a lot with them. I remember playing in Spanish Town on the roof. We played in Steer Town. We played all over the place. We played in St. Elizabeth, but it was a particular dance in St. Elizabeth that caused a very bad taste in the mouth because Squingy and Trooper, of course, were going head to head, and violence erupted. Violence erupted, very serious violence. And I myself got hurt because at the time I was the one using the mic, and I got the first real hurt came when a bottle stopped in right over my eye, and of course that brought a lot of bloodshed and everything. And then see me get hit in the face with a bottle around the sound system, and the fans got very very boisterous. Fans on both sides. So our fans attacked, they attacked, and it turned out to be one very big showdown. A lot of people got hurt in that dance. People just running into a wall, gunshots. People run all over the place. And it did cause a very bad vibe with Bass Odyssey and Kilimanjaro. And that vibe lasted maybe for a couple of years. Because the date after that, I had refused now to take any more dates with Jaro because I saw that some of my fans, some of Bass Odyssey fans were wanting to take revenge, so to speak. I wanted to get back at Jaro. I remember Jaro having a date in Brownstown, and Mr. Harper called me, and I told him that I would advise him not to go to the date because there were quite a bit of fans down here in St. Anne that wanted to just to get back at them. So I advised them not to take that date because, allow things to cool down before they do that. And he took my advice. And sometimes, you cannot just go at things like that. You have to give things a chance to simmer down. And gradually it simmered down because people wanted Bass Odyssey and Jaro back in the dancehall arena. But I can remember now the next date that we took with Jaro, which was a date in Portmore, and it didn't work out. Didn't work out because Jaro had a set of, I'm just using the term Jaro because a set of Jaro fans deliberately came to defend their sound. A lot of Bass Odyssey fans came to defend their sound. And there was a major standoff. And again, we had to say, watch out, let us cool out this vibe for a while because music is what we want. We don't want it is not about the war or the hurting of each other. It's all about music. So we had to pull back again. And I pulled out of taking dates with Jaro maybe for about 2 or 3 years. But at that time I had a associate. I wouldn't even say partner, but I had a partner also in the business. And he continued to take dates with Jaro. But it was with what would say, not our top DJs. Quingy and most of our top guys said they weren't going. I think Skinny went, and then he got a guy named Blacker, and he took some dates. But it was against my desire, it was against my will, it was against everything that I stood for. So I took no part in it. And that also contributed a lot to us just pulling the thing apart. So it has been a very, what you would call eventful, a very successful, and a very very much learning for us over the years.
Yeah, I mean, from what I know is that it led to a few misinterpretations when, let's say, Bonnie's side and the people and showed up with not with Squingy and Mark, or and so it was like a first or second division of Base Odyssey, and I think the second team got beat badly on occasion by Adith and others, and I can imagine it's not an easy thing for an owner to set things straight while there is a second party involved who is also trying to take dates with Jaro, as you said, and might lose big time against Addis in Miami and other dates.
Oh, well, the thing about those days too is that I no matter how much I preach, I said we're not taking these dates. He went ahead and took the dates, and that, as I said, that contributed a lot to us even splitting up with the sounds, and that is one of the things that sometimes you look at it and you say, boy, you're sorry you did what you did, but then again, you may have learned something from it anyway, so look at the positive sides to it. But a lot of the events that went on, yes, it was basically the second 11 team or third 11, as you would call it, because I was the one who were cutting out most. I would say nearly 90% of the dub plates. I would cut them. I wasn't cutting any for those clashes. We weren't preparing for them. Squingy Mark, most of what other top guys were not going to those clashes. Glamour Jida, and he continued to take them anyway without a care in the world whether we win, lose, or draw. He didn't care. He was just taking the dates just the same without any form of preparation, any form of anything. And I remember him taking dates with Jaro, taking dates with King Addies and other sound systems. And we were never a part of it. And we stood back. And so we tried to differentiate between his sound and the part of bass odyssey that I had. So that is where I added a part of it that says Z original, and I spelled it ZEE, Z original. So even to today, you'll see on the trucks Z original bass odyssey, because that is what I tried to do to make the fans aware that, listen, this is Keith's part, the other part is Bonnie's part. So because we had to try and do some differentiation there to let the fans know that all of these bad clashes that were going on were not the real bass odyssey playing.
I see.
But it did hurt us though. It did hurt us quite a great deal, and we went through a couple of years of hurting until we could put it together and bring it back to what it is today.
So another rivalry that I personally pretty much enjoyed by listening to all of those tapes was the rivalry between Bass Odyssey and Bodyguard, and which was leading to a rivalry between Squingy and Firelinks. At times, pure enjoyment to listen what they told each other, how they handle the mic. Seriously great for great sportsmanship, being rough at times, of course. Also, for me, it's like the 1998 New Jersey, where Bass Odyssey seriously gave them a beating, and the Cave Valley 2001 with Squingy and Lynx, the one with which got a bit out of hand when Lynx was calling people to draw the guns. How was that? What is your what do you have in mind about those things?
Well, firstly, when we used to play Bodyguard, it wasn't Lynx, it was Johnny and Tony and Johnny. Something I don't remember if it's Tony and but Johnny and somebody else. I think it's Tony. Right? Lynx was not on the sound, Bodyguard sound at that time. And we had numerous clashes with Bodyguard with Johnny. Of course, then Lynx came on the scene, and he was always a very aggressive fellow, always a very aggressive fellow, and a very energetic. And to today, you give him his credit. He has a lot of energy when it gets into the dance, right? Of course, I think in his younger days, he was more what I would use the term. I wouldn't want to say immature, but he was more aggressive then, even more aggressive, and not as today he has matured into a selector now that you would say he's smarter. he can be strategic now. Then he would just be aggressive blindly. So we took advantage of that. I think the date in New Jersey, you know, he was just too aggressive. And that is a part of it, of the whole learning curve in sound systems today. And the date in K Valley, of course, was with Lynx, not Bodyguard, and there again showed his aggressiveness and a little bit immature, because when you're in our town and telling your handful of supporters, which couldn't have been more than 20, 25, I don't know how much, to go get the guns, and you're in our town, that really shows that you're not thinking. Or if you're thinking, you're trying to fool people who you cannot fool. And when he issued those statements over the mic, I had to help to defend him. I had to help to save his sound system, because what happened is that his supporters had to start taking off them shirts, because all of them came there with link shirts. And when he started to say that, people rush him and say, "So where are the guns?" Because they want the guns. So they want to go get the guns, and our supporters want to take away the guns. So that really was not smart. And of course, he had to run, leave the truck, he had to run, leave everything. But we protected his sound system, and he was able to retrieve it with, I don't think, any much harm. I think a couple of his the tires on the trucks were slashed. But those are some of the bad things about dancehall. Those are some of the things that you would really not want to, you would not want to highlight. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it is a part of the learning process, and it's a part of the game. And is one of those nights that really showed up what sound clashes can be like, because people could have died. Unfortunately, nobody died. People got beaten and people ran all through bushes and all those things. But the good thing is that, as I said, and I'm very happy I did it, I stood there and I defended him as much as I could and protected him, make sure that his equipment, everything was okay, and he came back and got it. So one of the unfortunate things. But since then, because we stopped taking dates with Links, we for a while we weren't taking any dates with him. But I see now where he has come around, and the objective is to play the music, not to create segregation and malice. So once you see somebody coming around and more reasonable, because I can remember somebody called me one day and said that I must not send my selectors to town or put no music because certain threats were out there for them, right? And we had to calm that down as well, because the music thing, if you take note of hand, it can be very violent, and we had to calm that down. And we have to realize that it is not in our best interest for any sound system to fight another sound system, because it is just going to fuel and cause more fighting in the long run. It is always better to, whenever you see violence rearing its head, try and calm it down. Sound system people should live together and defend each other, not fight against each other. And so today we take dates. I think some of the last set of dates we took before this lockdown, I think one of them was with Lynx. And we went through very, very, very good. He has his energy, we have our songs, everything, and the crowd was very happy with it. We've been taking a lot of dates with him since. I can remember even at Christmas we took some dates, and the audience, the fans were very happy. So that is the kind of approach we want. We want to approach the music in a way where, um, sound systems, even if you have to show competition, you have to show fight. You can't go there and just play with people's money. But at the same time, you don't want for it to get out of hand. You don't want for it to get violent. You just want the competitiveness and to lift the spirit of the people we are playing for.
Yeah, I mean, I think the example with you at Stone Love, you've been going on like doing hundreds and hundreds of dances together, and going on very, very well from outside point of view. Again, handling things professionally with respect and everything. That's totally the opposite. And that's totally how it's supposed to be, as you said, for the love of the music. Is there a link is there a link among the owners, like you and Weepow and Courtney Singh and Harper? And is there something where you can talk call each other? Like the selectors have their links, and is there something that the owners are also talking to each other, setting things straight, or saying, let's do it this way or that way?
Well, I am very happy to say that, in my opinion, myself and Weepo have a very good understanding. We have good communication. Mr. Harper, Courtney Singh, you name it, all the owners and myself. I don't know of a sound owner that I do not get along very well with, unless it's a very new sound. But all of those foundation sounds, we have very good relationships, very, very good. Um, about Stone Love, we have played umpteens of times. Now, Stone Love have always said that they're not a clash sound. They don't want to clash. So I've always warned my selectors. Of course, in the earlier days, when have people like Lenny and Glamour G, some of those people who are very they just have to have their own way, right? Because even those dances that I remember, one particular dance where Lenny pushed Clash and Stone Love, he left with strict instructions that he should only clash if Stone Love put a clash to them. Stone Love doesn't want to clash, so why are we going to clash the sound and if the man is not interested in clashing? So they left with those instructions that, listen, this is not a clash, it's a juggling event. But of course, they went there and they did their own thing, and it caused a friction, it caused a little bit of bad feelings. But me and Weepo were able to smooth it out, and today we play numerous places all over the world, and there's a respect for each other. That, yes, we are a clashing sound, but we do not clash with Stone Love. We just play, and it is all about enjoying ourselves and letting the fans enjoy the music. So that respect is there, and I really think that, as sound systems, the owners have to be united in order to move this thing along. With Mr. Harper, it's the same thing. The thing with Mr. Harper is that we are both clash sounds. So whenever somebody pays for a date or wants to book Jaro and Bass Odyssey for an event, we'll talk to each other and we'll say, well, the man paying us for a clash, we are going to go clash. But if he's paying us for a juggling and believes that we are going to go there go clash, it's not going to work. And we have that understanding, which I like the understanding that we have, because you have some owners that will take a bribe, they will collect money for a juggling event, and when you go in there, they themselves push a clash. No, you will not find that happening with me and Bodyguard or Jaro and Stone Love, because the same thing with Courtney. Um, about a year ago, somebody wanted us to clash in England, and we spoke, me and Courtney spoke, and of course we said, well, if you're paying us to clash, we're going there go clash, because we're not accepting your money and go there go juggle. But if you're paying us to juggle and then promote it as a clash and believe we're going to go there go clash, no, we're not going to do that. So sound system owners have to have that kind of understanding and that kind of unity, and it will help us moving forward. Because one of the things that I think that I know is lacking right now is that sound system owners are not speaking from one voice. If we all came together and were able to talk from one voice, I think it would be very loud and it would be heard by governments all over the world, and help us to move along this music, and it would be better for us too.
You just said you with Stone Love, things turned in giving you worldwide opportunities. Speaking about another opportunity which put it on worldwide spotlight was your involvement with Irish and Chin and their related promoters, by you being an important part of the World Clash series starting in 99 until 2008, by you taking part in UK Cup Clash, you taking part in Jamaica Clash, Death by Dishonor, etc., etc. It was like you've been in those 2000 years very close to Irish and Chin, which brought you a lot of worldwide recognition through those very well promoted worldwide spotlight events.
Well, I don't think that. I think we did more for Irish and Chin than that they could have done for
Okay.
us. I mean, I mean, when we started clashing, our names were out there. we were out there long before Irish and Chin we ever heard of Irish and Chin, right? But saying this to say that I think we had a very good understanding, myself and Irish and Chin. Um, yes, we played quite a bit of sound clashes for them. I would give them my take on some of the concepts or some of the ideas, and he would give him his take on it. And I think everything was going fairly well. Yes, the world clashes that he put on generated some amount of interest and curiosity. But one must remember that world clashes came long after all of our clashes were going on. So I think we're more an asset to him than he was for
Yeah.
us.
Okay.
But then again, you would say that one hand washes the other, right? But we, unfortunately, today we are not too much on those terms because there are a few things that I didn't like and a few things that I think could have been done better. And also, let us leave it that way. But today, if I see him, we do speak. We'll say hi, hello, everything is not like we're malicing each other. I don't malice anybody. But I've met him on a few occasions on the Jamrock cruise, and we have met otherwise. And we'll speak if we have to speak, if there's something to speak about. But unfortunately, that earlier relationship that we had where we used to rapport and is a guy when he comes to Jamaica, he used to come down here and check with me, and he has been here a few times, and we would talk about different aspects of the music. But unfortunately, in life, certain things just not everything goes as how you would have wanted it to go,
Yeah.
and it has caused some form of a I wouldn't say division, but it has certainly caused some form of a holding back. And, things that as I said, that I would have hoped didn't go that way, they went that way. And so I have to take a stand. I'm a man, he's a man, and we have to make our own decisions. And that is how it is. It is what it is.
The final topic I would like to touch is the enormously big, I would say somehow, crew of Bass Odyssey over those 30 years. I mean, many people came through, and of course, iconic figures like Squingy, who died in 2009. But you've been constantly developing new talent, constantly having new talent, nurturing new talent, and uh, somehow constantly growing and going on and on and on and on. And with new people like Damien, Warm, and we came to the sound. Now your old son, I think, Keith is featured on it also. And um, what what is this for you? Is it like you discovering a youth out there and saying, "Hey, give him a chance. Let's put him on the sound." Or how? What is your role or your point of view on this constant development of new talent and new people?
New talent is something that you're always going to need. Always going to need. Um, it's just a part of business, part of anything at all. You have to have, and you have to always have a lookout for new talent as well. When we first got Squingy, he was on another sound system. I think it was can't remember the name of it, but then I think he was on turbocharge as well. Some smaller sentences sound system, and the talent was there. It was just glaring that this man was just born to play a sound system. So Squingy's talent was obvious, and we fortunately got to, grab him in the heights of his career, in the heights of his ability to play songs and be that person who he turned out to be. And just like with almost all the other selectors that we have had, we have hardly ever recruited what you would call a ready mix selector. That is a selector who was already popular. Most of our selectors have been coming, it's like a ladder. They start by playing the sound early. They would go out on the truck. When the truck is going out, it leaves early in the days. They go out and they play early, and then they would play until the bigger guys come, and the bigger guys would start playing maybe 11, 12 o'clock. But the younger guys would play from the sound string up by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening. So they would play till like about 6 o'clock and play till about 11, 12 in the nights. So they got a lot of exposure and a lot of experience playing the sound early. They get to know the songs. Some of them would hang around and play with when Squingy and Mark and whoever else, Glamour G, Ireland, so would hang around and play. While they are playing, they would be there. So they learn the craft. It's a kind of craft that is what you would call a underground learning, on-site learning. It's not something that you go to university or much schools to learn, but you do it hands-on. It's a hands-on learning experience. A lot of our selectors were like that. Worm used to go out on the truck. Damien used to be on the truck. Squingy used to be on the truck. Um, Only now that things have changed so much that our newest recruits, which is Spready Glory, he didn't go because he came on at a time when we already had people on the truck too, and he was a basically established selector. He was a solo selector as well, but we spoke with him and he said yes, he would be happy to come and we welcome him on board. But apart from him, most of the other selectors, Fire Blanche also came on, but most of the other selectors had their spell on the truck for a couple of years, learning the bass Odyssey songs, and even if they came on with a certain talent or a certain craft, upgrading their skills, so to speak, and then they would be given opportunities to go out there now and project and show your skill, and that is exactly what happened. But to the question, yes, new talent, very, very important. And spotting the new talent, always seeking new talent, very, very important to every sound system. And giving the people a chance or giving those talents a chance to flourish and go out there and make a name. I can remember Country Speng. When Country Speng came to be Odyssey, he was on Black Cat Sound, but he was basically sitting behind Panther the entire time. And a lot of people didn't know that Country Spring was a Black Cat selector for maybe a couple of years, but he was just sitting there. People didn't know him. When he came to Bass Odyssey, we gave him his time, gave him his opportunity to go out there and prove himself because we saw the talent in him. And today we're happy to say he's one of our top selectors, and it's just the way to go in terms of how you deal with music.
Yeah, and you even had people like Charlie Blacks who started an artist career on the back of his work at Bass Odyssey.
Charlie Blacks, very, very important too, because I think he was on another sound system, I think Warlord, something. And he was always in music. Charlie Blacks was always in music from he was born, right? And when he came to Bass Odyssey, we gave him that opportunity to go there and project and show himself and show the world what he could do. And I'm very happy that he also became one of our very top selectors. And as you know, he's now one of the famous artists. So, I'm very happy that we're able to help these guys to showcase their talent and put them out there for the world to see.
Great. So I think, Father Keith, thank you very much for the insights. I feel a lot of
What?
passion with you, which makes me very happy because the legacy is not ending. The legacy is about to continue. Another few hundred tapes in my collection soon come.
Yeah, yeah, tips and in those earlier days when you used to have when you go to a dance, sometimes you have all 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cassette man just line up, plugging in, line out. Sometimes it affects the quality of the sound because sometimes the plugs that they use short out and the sound start to melt. But you had to give the cassette people a chance to go out there and take their cassettes. That's the only way the music would reach all over the world because they would send the cassettes to people in New York, Germany, all over the world. That's the way music would reach there.
Yeah.
Today, now everybody does it by email. You hear a thing and they just email you a couple seconds and it's there.
Yeah,
But a lot of people have played a very important role in dancehall music that we need to highlight. Cassette people who used to come and tape the song, tape the dances, very, very important.
I mean, for us as Europeans, when we've been heading over, like in the late 90s, I think, when we had the chance to meet people like Cassette Jones or Cassette Ninja, or a guy called, you might know him, called Mikey Dread in Ocho Rios. Yeah.
Yeah,
When
those guys used to come nearly every day to dance.
and you had the chance to see sit in front of them a whole bunch of cassettes that you could buy. As I said, us as Europeans for the first time sitting in front of them and saying like, "Wow, really?" So that made us very, very, very happy back in the days that we could actually carry the music back home and listen to what
Yeah,
was going on. Yeah. So as you said, a lot of respect to those people. Yeah,
yeah, man.
great. I think
I don't know.
sorry. Do you want to interrupt?
No, so a lot of people don't realize how much value these people have to the business. They are the ones who help to spread the music worldwide by being able to keep them. And of course, they are making a living from it, but it's also getting out there, getting the music out there.
Yeah. So that was a great and very fast 1 hour 15 minutes that we've spoken now. All good from my end. Great words from
It, it,
Father
it,
Keith, and hope to see you soon in person. And over back to Woody, I
Yeah.
would say.
Well, one thing
it's
we are all under pressure right now because this COVID-19 certainly has put a halt to everything.
Yeah.
You know, just this morning I was talking to some of the transport authorities because trucks have been parked for over a year. You're not even certain when they're going to be in a position to roll again. So you're thinking that maybe you're going to turn in the plates or do something. It's that's not wise to have them there. That's just accumulating and they're not moving.
Yeah. Difficult.
We don't know. Entire business. We just hope that something will help us to get back to normalcy soon because it's really a burden right now. It's really very challenging.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope to get over it soon. Okay.
really and truly, it has been a pleasure listening to you guys. And yeah, Father Keith, thank you so much for sitting down with us and giving us such a great interview. Big up yourself. Big up to the whole BS Odyssey crew, the whole Walford family, of course, and all Alexandra crew. And yeah, stay safe. And hopefully, we see you guys soon again in Europe or we come over to Jamaica again.
The pleasure is ours, man. Whenever you guys are here, you're always welcome. And we look forward as soon as the gates are open and music is allowed to, we're allowed to get back to doing what we do best. We look forward to coming back there. Some of the areas that we look forward to touring even once yearly. Certainly, you guys are a part of that.
Yeah, man.
Great.
I mean, Europe is waiting for you guys to come back.
Yeah, yeah. My guys are looking forward as well.
Thank
So
you again.
let me
And
just say thanks to all of your listeners out there for supporting me Odyssey over the years. I mean, 31 years is a good time, and we want to thank you for the support that you have given us. And we want to also say to you that we will try to keep playing the music that you love. we want to keep playing the music that we love, and we want also, if we can get on board even more supporters, because there are a lot of people who may not everybody like us, but we would love them to give us an opportunity to play music for them, because that's what it's all about. So thanks again, and on behalf of the entire Bass Odyssey crew, we love and respect everyone, and we look forward to playing great music for you again as soon as it's possible.
Same here. All the best.
Thank you very much, Father Keith.
Talk
Thank
soon.
you.
Yeah. All right.